Hello there, welcome along. Welcome to the shed. My name's Eric.
And I'm Sparkle.
And in today's video,
We're going to create an animation for free that you can use on your social media. If you want to, you can take it into Photoshop and into Premiere Pro and add even more details if you really want to. This guy's going to show you how to do it.
I'm going to do my very best, Sparkle, that's for sure. Thank you very much for your help. Okay, before we jump in, are you off? Before we jump in, I should tell you that I've done a little bit of preparation. So I've gone ahead and I've recorded a script already. And then what I've done is I've put that through Adobe Podcast. Now, if you haven't used Adobe Podcast, really good piece of online software. You can upload a piece of audio and it will clean it up for you. Now, I am literally in a shed, so that is invaluable to me for this kind of thing. You're certainly going to notice the difference when you hear it. All right, without any more ado, let's jump in to Character Animator. So here I am in Character Animator, and you can see that I've got a lovely screen in front of me with all these different characters, including our friend Sparkle down there. Now in the top right hand corner, you can see there is a switch. Now at the moment it's on Starter. If I flick that over, you can see I can go to Pro. But I'm going to stay in Starter because that is the free version that's available to you. Okay, let's create our animation. Now you can see that we've got all kinds of people available here, and creatures and robots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this one here, Mark Starter. And when I do that, another screen is going to open with Mark on there. And you'll be able to see that you can also see me up there as well. And what's happening here is that Mark is imitating my voice. Ooh, yeah. All right. So as I'm talking, so Mark is matching my voice, which means that I could, in fact, record the script right here. So I could record face and voice, or I can import a recorded speech. Now, as I say, I've already recorded this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this both ways. Let's record this face and voice first. So I click on that. You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us, until you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe. Okay, now I've messed up my script there, but that's okay, doing it from memory. Now we can see that it was tracking my head movements there, and then it was matching the mouth to the words that I'm saying, or the sounds that I'm making. Let's have a look at that. You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to actually get rid of that, delete that. There we go. And I'm going to import the recorded speech. There we go, there it is, ditch the drip. And I'm going to import that. And it comes. Okay, now you notice that the blue button now has changed to just record face, because now I can give him some movement, whether it be left or right or up or down, whatever it may be. So let's give that a try. You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us, once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe. So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today. Okay, now I found this quite difficult to get my eyes in the right position. I do find that I have to look slightly to the right with this. So let's have a look through. Okay, not bad. Let's have a look. You might think you've had a great cup of coffee. Okay, good. All right, so now we've got the head and the eyes moving as well as the mouth in sync. The screen has now changed again, and this time, rather than looking at my ugly mug in the top right hand corner, we have some what look like emojis, but they're actually actions that we can attribute to Mark at specific times. For example, when he says, you might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but when you think you've had a great cup of coffee, so right there, I'm going to start with you might think, and I've got a pointy finger here, you might think. So all I could do is drag that down, pop it on, just there, and then make that as long or as short as I want it. So let's take that back.
You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us.
Easy. All right. So what else can we do? Well, we can give him a cup of coffee. We can put him on the phone. That's my favorite one. We can use this one. Let's use that one. That looks good.
Once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never
Strike that in.
go back to your average Joe. So ditch the drip.
Actually, I think maybe ditch the drip would be better. So let's go there. Ditch the drip. Is it about there?
So ditch the
drip. There we go. So ditch the drip.
So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today.
We can also put his glasses on. You see they're around his neck at the moment. So we can put his glasses on, make him cross, sad, tired, a bit confused. What's this one? Impressed, happy, and our point. You'll also notice that earlier on when we had Sparkle with us, that Sparkle was gesturing in exactly the same way, but they have different actions. So Sparkle has the rainbow, for example, but we did notice that we had the point to one side as well. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's take that right down, because what's happened there is that's just the face movements. So I was a bit slow in stopping the recording, so it's recording the face movements. And again, with Sparkle, I'm talking to Sparkle like they're still here. With Sparkle earlier on, I just did some playing, just stood there. You'll notice that there's very much a resting face, a resting pose, so it's nice and easy to match up as well. But for this one, I'm going to drag this right back. So ditch the drip.
Join the divine caffeination revolution today.
There we go. It's very simple and straightforward. So if we wanted to, we can now export that, but let's format this a little bit better. So I might want to resize it, or I might want to put it in a different way. Let's go to portrait here. So we're going to use this for a reel, perhaps. I can reposition our character here if I wanted to. I can also give him a different background. So this is for the coffee shop snot reel. I can put him into a coffee shop should I wish. If I can find it, there it is up there. I can put him into a coffee shop. Now I can't really see that it's coffee shop there, but if we put that into a bit of a landscape, perhaps you'll see it a bit more clearly. All right, I'm going to go back to portrait. So that's that. I can now export this and use it in my social media wherever I want to use it as is. But we are going to take this a little bit further. So I'm actually going to export this twice. So I'm going to come up to the button here, this export button, or quick export. You'll see that I get a choice of where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it in the desktop, in Character Animator, Scene Mark Starter, which is the name of the character. And I'm going to just go back and add in there that this one is for Photoshop. More of that in just a minute. And export that. And then what I'm going to do then is change the background so as I can export it for use in Premiere. Because with Premiere I can replace the background for my own should I wish, whereas in Photoshop we can't do that. So let's export this. Oh, nope, let's change the background first. Now, in this case, any color will do, as long as it's not a color that is actually part of Mark. So I could go for white or pink, whatever. Traditionally, we'd put him on a green screen. So let's do that so we understand what's going on. So now we've got Mark in front of a green screen. Let's click on that. And again, we're going to make sure we're going where we want to go. And this time, I'm just going to make sure that I know that this one is for Premiere Pro. And save that and export it. Now I'm not cutting any time out of this exporting. You can see that it happens quite quickly. Obviously the longer the clip, the longer it takes, but this one hardly any time at all. So there we go. You can upload this to your social media. It's all ready to go straight off the bat. Really nice, quick and easy. If you're leaving me here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share what you're doing. I really do want to see what it is you're getting up to with this. If you're sticking around to see what we do with Photoshop and Premiere, thank you very much. Let's crack on. And first of all, let's open Photoshop and see what we can do. So here I am. I've got my clip here, which I can click and drag into Photoshop. Now, Timeline is already open for me. If you can't see the timeline, you need to go to Window and then down to Timeline. And because this is a video, you can see that it's in a video group already, and we have our clip. Here's our playhead, and we can play that through.
You might think you've...
There we go, nice and easy. All right, we can add stuff into this. So first of all, let's put in some text, shall we?
had a great cup of coffee, but trust us, once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods...
So I want to emphasize bean gods. So I'm going to go up to the text here and then type in bean gods. There we go. And let's format that. Okay, I do have a library for the Snot Real Company. So let's go, that's Not Real Business. And we have some fonts here, so I can attribute the font. There we go. And then come back in here and press enter. Now, if you're not sure about libraries, don't panic. I have already made a video about libraries. It's on my YouTube channel. Go and have a look. You won't regret it if you're not already using it. Okay, now the problem that I've got here is that Bean Gods comes after the clip. So in the timeline here, you can see that we've got Mark and then we've got Bean Gods, and that's not what we want. So let's take this Bean Gods and move it outside of the group here. And then you'll see that it jumps onto its own layer. I can scooch that along. Let's see where we need it, shall we?
Us. Once you've tasted the nectar of the Bean Gods...
Okay, that wasn't a bad little try, was it? Okay, so Bean Gods is there now. If I wanted to, I could leave that, but now let's go a little bit extra.
Once you've tasted the nectar of the Bean Gods...
So I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Let's make this a little bit easier to work with. There we go. Bring that in and bring this one in. Now what I'd like to do is to have this come down into the frame and then come back out again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 2 points. So one here, let's just make sure that I'm in the right place. Play that again.
Tasted the nectar of the Bean Gods.
Bean Gods is just there. So I want Bean Gods to be on screen in the right place right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. And you can see that I can keyframe all these different attributes. So we can keyframe, transform, opacity, style, and text warp. I'm not going to go into all of those today. We're only going to use one, in fact. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch here, and you'll see that it adds a keyframe here. And then I'm going to mark where I want it to stay where it is already. So let's bring that along. Let's play that through.
Bean Gods.
Okay, so just about there, maybe just a little bit longer. And then I'm going to take this keyframe, I'm going to right click it and say copy. And then I'm going to right click and say paste. And actually it's going to paste where the timeline is, or the playhead is, rather than where I'm copying it from, or pasting it to, as it were. I think I understand. All right, let's go on. Now let's change the Bean Gods itself. I'm not sure I kind of like the style of this. Let's make sure that we've got it how we want it before we go any further. I want it to be white, and I want it to be a bit bigger than this as well. So let's double click into that and just make that a little bit bigger. Bean Gods, there we go. All right, and move that down. Now we have an issue now because I have changed the position. What's happened is that I'm actually getting this happening. So that movement has now been recorded into these keyframes. So in fact, we don't want that one anymore. We can delete that, and we can right click and copy, and then where we wanted it before, we can go back here and we can paste it. There we go.
With the nectar of the Bean Gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe. So
right, so now we need to get it on screen. So just here, don't want it too far away. I'm going to make this quite big. So Control or Command T, and just so I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to press the Alt or Option key, and I'm going to make this nice and big, just like that. There we go. So now click the tick. When I play this through,
of the Bean Gods.
All right, good. Let's bring that just a bit closer in. I want it just sort of thud down, as it were.
of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your...
Okay, not bad. Let's now take that back out again. We're going to right click and copy, right click and paste. So now it comes in, goes out, and let's have that happening with a fade. So I'm going to close this up to there, close this up to here, and then right here we've got different kinds of transitions. Fade is the one we want, so let's drag that onto there and then drag that onto there. I've actually made that about the same size. Look at that. All right, and let's play.
of the bean gods, you'll never go back to
Easy as that. Okay, let's carry on.
your average Joe. So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today.
Okay, ditch the drip is the next bit I'm interested in.
The drip.
Okay, we've got a good visual representation because he moves his hands.
Ditch the drip.
Ditch the drip. Let's put text on that one. Let's make that quite a lot smaller. Move it into place. Drip, there we go. And I'm going to make sure that that is central. Okay. Right, now it hasn't gone into the video group this time because I had the text layer selected, so it's gone over the top of the text layer, so let's put the next layer over the top like usual in Photoshop. If I would have had the video layer selected, it would have gone into the same group. Okay, ditch the drip, here we go. I'm going to move along a little bit, ditch the drip, scooch that across. All right, so now I want it to come in, stop, go back out again. So ditch the drip, where is he?
So ditch the drip.
About there is where I want him to, or I want the text to be. So again, let's go in and we can actually use the transform again here. Ditch the drip, wants to be really quick. Let's try it there. I'm trying to be as quick as I can here, sorry. Okay.
Ditch the drip.
Want it nice and quick, so just here, let's move him out. Can use the shift just to make sure that it keeps it on the same level. And now we've got this coming in, holding still, and then let's go. Let's just do this by eyeballing, shall we? And shift, click, drag it out. There we go. Let's see what happens. Just gonna make this smaller. Doesn't make any difference really because we can't see it, but might help a little bit. Here we go.
Ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today.
Okay, way too quick. Let's bring that out. And then we can put a marquee around these two and then drag them over to here. Let's see how that goes.
The drip and join the divine caffeination.
Okay, still quick, but I kind of like it. Let's go back out.
So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today. You might.
Okay, one last thing. Let's bring in the logo for Snot Reel. So let's come up here. Let's play it through.
Ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination.
Divine Caffeination. Let's do it there. So again, I'm back into my libraries. Let's use my logo here. Drag that on. Make it a bit bigger. Okay, that's where I want it to end up. Click the tick. Let's go in. So I want it to come to rest just then. So we can put in our keyframe. Again, I'm using transform. And I'm going to come out and move this straight down. Whoop. Here we go. And so this is going to now just pop up. Bit boring. So let's make it bounce, shall we? So it comes in. I want it to go too far, then down too far, and then back up. So I'm going to select this, copy again, go back a few bits, paste it, and I'll move this up a little bit. Then I can go to here. Let's move this up a little bit. Go to here, paste it again, and bring it down just a tad. So now it should come up, go too far, go down too far, and come back up again. In theory, might be a bit quick.
Caffeination Revolution.
Okay, not too bad. It is quick, but it gives a nice little sense of a bounce. Let's put everything on screen using Control 0 here, and let's have a look at it in context.
Caffeination Revolution today.
Actually, I think I pretty much nailed that first time. Okay, good. All right, let's shorten that. We don't need that anymore. And there we go. Let's play that through, see how we do.
Coffee, but trust us. You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us. Once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe. So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today. You might think you've had a...
There we go. Easy as that. To send this out, you might think you need to go up to File and Save. It's one of those little quirks in Photoshop. Actually, you want to come to the timeline here and the burger menu, these three little lines. Click on that, and then down the bottom here, render video, and choose how you want to render it out. H.264 is going to be your best bet, and your dimensions should already be bang on from bringing it in from Character Animator. So really, all you should need to do is press render it, and off it goes. Okay, so there we are. That's that. Easy peasy. So that's us done in Photoshop. If you've got the full Creative Cloud, then I'm just about to do it again in Premiere. So stick around for that if you're interested in Premiere also. If you're leaving me now, like, subscribe, share, all the business. All right. For those that are sticking around, let's go into Premiere and see what's what. Okay, in Premiere, I'm going to click New Project. I have the clip here that we saved earlier. So I'm going to click on that and say create. Now I could, why not, while I'm here, create a new sequence. Create. And that's going to load in all the assets and actually put Mark into a scene that is going to be the right size as well. So all that is done for us. We are good to go. Okay, so what we want to do now is put in our own background into Mark and then add the text as we just did in Photoshop. If you were with me for that, we added some text and a logo into that, and that's what I'm going to do here. It's much easier here as well to add video elements to this. We could do this. Let's see how we're doing for time. All right, let's work on getting a background, our very own background, in behind Mark. First thing I'm going to do is take him up and make sure that we've got a layer underneath him. Then I'm going to go over to my libraries. You can bring this in, and you can see that I've got layer 1 PSD, which I can just drag and drop in. That was from my libraries. Again, if you haven't seen my video on libraries and you want to know more, it's available on YouTube. If you're not using libraries, you're missing out big time. So there's our layers. We've got our background and we've got Mark in there. All we've got to do now is get rid of that green, or key him out, as we say in the trade. If you're new to Premiere, hopefully this will help you out with other projects. If you're not new to Premiere, you've been doing this a while, then there is a fast forward button. Let's get this done. From the effects, let's click on effects here, and then in the search I'm going to type ultra, because what we're looking for is a thing called ultra key, and I'm going to click, I'm going to drag that onto the layer with Mark on there. Now nothing happens, but if you go into your effects control over here and down, you'll see that it has now appeared. What we need to do is click on the eyedropper and then come over and click on the green, and just like that, it's gone. Now, being a cartoon character, he's got very hard edges. The green is very much in there. There's no spill or anything like that. So as an introduction to keying, this is a great example how really easy it can be if you get everything right. But, if you've got somebody with flowing hair and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be that easy. But for this, we're laughing really, aren't we? Which means now we've got our logo behind Mark. We can move him around should we wish. We can reposition him. We can make him bigger, smaller, do whatever we want. Actually, I quite like it the way it is. Okay, let's bring that back to the beginning.
You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us. Once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods.
Okay, let's start adding the text that we did in Photoshop, but let's do it here in Premiere. First of all, let's go and get the text tool, and we're going to type bean gods. Let's highlight all of that, because what we're now to do is go into Essential Graphics. We want to change the font here, and I think it's going to be right at the top. And I'm looking for Alphan. There it is, Alphan. Let's make that nice and big. And we can reduce the space between the lines here using this numerical value. I can click and I can drag it left and right, or I can put in a numerical value should I wish. I'm going to put it just there. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So easy to use, it's really nice. Okay, let's go and grab that and pop it there. Bean gods. All right, so that's where he's saying bean gods. We need to animate this in, so we want it to drop in and then go back out again. Really, really easy to do. Okay, that's where it comes in. We want it to be a little bit longer than this.
Us. Once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never.
Now, the reason why I can't see it is because I'm zoomed out. There it is. Let's bring this out a little bit. Okay, so let's increase the size of this.
The bean god.
Right, bean gods, just there. Right there, that's where we want it to be. So we can do the scale. We could do position as well here. So let's do that. It's going to make our job a little bit easier in just a second because of where the handles for this are. We'll deal with that as we get there. And then we want to zip along and then copy and paste those. So we want to select them both, right click, copy, right click, paste. There we go. So we know that between those 2 points, they're going to be in the same position. But back here, we're going to scale this up. And then we're going to move it up. And you'll see what I mean by the handles. I could put the handles into my own position, but this is just as easy as far as I'm concerned. So there we go. So zoop.
The bean gods.
Okay, bit too slow. Let's highlight both those and move them in.
Bean gods.
Okay, good. Still maybe a little bit too slow.
Bean gods.
Okay, and then what we're going to do here is I'm going to add onto here the fade in and fade out. So I know that it's the default, is the crossfade, so I can press Control or Command D and you'll see that it adds the 2 fades in and out. And actually we've got that nice again. Good.
Nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your.
So what I might do here is I might bring these both out a little bit, like so.
Bean gods. The bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe.
Okay, good. Let's go back and highlight that again. And this time, let's highlight these 2. Copy them. I use Control C that time, Control V this time to get it back out again. And again, let's pop these a little bit further into, oh, they're a bit close. Oh, they're not close enough really. Let's do that. And let's take those out right out there.
Bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe.
All right, not bad. Ditch the drip is the next bit I'm interested in.
So ditch the drip.
There we go. And again, let's put in some text here. There we go. I can make sure that that's central by clicking on this button just here. There we go. So ditch the drip. Again, we just want to do the position this time, really. So that's where it wants to be. Let's make this bigger.
Ditch the drip and.
Okay, too far along. Let's move that, scooch that along just a little bit. Okay. Okay, there we go. That's where we want our keyframe to be. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Create a new keyframe and let's push this over. Again, I'm just clicking and dragging to the left here. There we go. That's going to be way too long, I think, but let's have a look.
Ditch the drip and join.
Okay, not too bad. Maybe bring that in just a little bit.
And join the
and then bring them both over to the left because he's already said ditch the drip.
drip and join the
and then we can take this one and we can copy it and we can paste it and then we can move along a little bit, create a new keyframe, and push it out.
So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination.
Okay, while that's all working nicely, I don't think it's quite central to when he's saying ditch the drip.
So ditch the drip.
So let's just take that as a job lot and move it along.
So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today.
Right, final thing is to put our logo on here. This time I'm taking the logo from the Finder. And just like we did in Photoshop, we're going to make it come up too far, go down too far, and then back into the middle. I'd really like a bit of a waver, but we haven't got time for that. But the principle would be the same. So let's resize all of this. Let's bring the scale way. Let's bring the scale down a bit. And then push it down into the right place, something like that. Okay, so that's where I want it to be. So let's do the position there. Let's go back a little bit and take it off screen. Did notice that we're all scooched up a little bit. I don't know how I've done that, but we can fix that quite easily. Right, so off he goes. It's off screen. Now this time you can see that it's actually creating the keyframes as we go, which is kind of nice. So let's go copy and then paste. And then we want this one to go too far up. Let's go right in this time because we want to go right in between these two really. Let's bring that one out a little bit. Just here. And we'll paste. And go too far down just a little bit. And then we should have our animation. Okay, good. All right, I'm happy with that for now. I could play around with that as much as you like, but we'll call it done for here. All right, let's go back to the beginning and see how we have done.
You might think you've had a great cup of coffee, but trust us, once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe. So ditch the drip and join the divine caffeination revolution today.
Okay, I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is I've noticed that these have just shifted out of place a little bit. So I'm going to use the arrow keys just to shift them back again. There we go. And then this one I think is also, oh no, that one's okay. All right. There we go. All right. Good. Okay, now with Premiere, we've got so much power. We could have done some more video work in Photoshop, but that's not really what Photoshop's for. But Premiere video is what it's for. So we can start adding more layers to this if we wanted to. So I could add in a little bit more depth to this with maybe another video clip. And I've got one sitting on my hard drive. I've got one here called Particles. So I'm going to drag and drop that in. And then let's take all of the stuff that we've done already, except for the background, and bring that up. Now, if I wanted to, I could nest that, but for now I'm not going to, because what I want to do now is I'm going to pop this behind him. So you can see it's there now. So let's rotate this. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And then I'm going to scale it up. There we are. And then we've got a blend mode down here. I'm thinking something like overlay or screen might do it. Let's try screen. There we go. And let's try this.
You might think you've had a great cup of coffee.
Okay, not terribly happy. Let's go minus 90 this time. And let's take the opacity right down. Maybe to something like 30%, just so we get a little bit of a hint to it.
But trust us, once you've tasted the nectar of the bean gods, you'll never go back to your average Joe.
So there we go. So we can add in as many elements as we want. I've just added that one to give it a little bit more depth. I could duplicate that, rotate it, and put it on the bottom as well, and all the business. But that'll do for now. Okay, thank you very much for joining me and Sparkle today. If you've got any questions, don't forget to drop them into the comments. If you've created anything with Character Animator or anything else to do with Adobe, please let me know. I would love to see it. Okay, that's it. Thanks for joining me here at the shed. Like, subscribe, all the rest of the business, and maybe we will see you again next time. Bye bye for now.